Episode 112.
Here we are. It's still my favorite tune.
It is, eh?
I dig it.
That was the original
Go
live. Remember that? Who did we do live first with?
I can't remember who did. It's quite a while ago.
It was a while ago. I think we did it ourselves, and then
Yeah.
we had, Al Macaulay, I think, was the first live guest.
Yeah. Sounds about right. But it was just something about that tune, and you got a few whiskeys going. Kind of got you amped.
Yeah.
Still does the same.
Yeah, it went down well on those, what were they, Tuesday evenings.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
7 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it was cool. Speaking of Al, quick mention. It was his birthday yesterday. So happy birthday, Al.
Happy birthday, Al. It's getting the special mentions out early today.
Yes.
Cool. Another busy week.
Chaotic week.
Jeez, this week was chaotic.
It's been like a wacky week though, like news-wise. It's been
many
like weird stories. It's just felt like way out of the ordinary.
You made the comment that if you do 2 news-based episodes in a row, like we normally do, often there's normally one where you're sort of searching for a bit of news.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case this week. Quite a lot going on.
Yeah. Been pretty cool.
So should we jump right in?
Took it.
Let's go. So the funny one that you read and you just can't help but have a chuckle if you're South African, this ACSA story with the tender process. So airports company at the center of a multi-million rand tender believed to be worth well over 40 million. That looks like it's been rigged from the onset. So remember that whole story, the SAC saga with the fuel tender that went out at one stage.
That's right.
I think some crowd in Pretoria got the tender, and it turned out to be like some DJ or something. And there was a whole big thing. Well, this, not very different. So they were looking for, was it a grass cutting service by the looks of it?
Yes.
So new vegetation control and grass cutting service provider at OR Tambo. And the previous contract came to an end. So, of course, the tender goes out for a new one. And Temba Congo, I think it was called, the company. So they discover now that this is, in fact, a shelf company in the middle of a wind down process. So if you open a PDY and you don't use it for a certain amount of time or whatever, there's a wind down process. And it was in this process of deregistration. So it's basically a dormant company. And it was revived 2 weeks before this ACSA put out the request for these RFQs. And the directors were changed, I believe, on June the 6th. So a lot going on with this company. And no doubt, with the whole corruption in South Africa, this is going to be investigated. But it just amazes me that still today, this stuff is still happening, and with a major government-owned enterprise. Yeah. So, grass cutting, of course, an essential service at an airport. You've got your kind of dogs and that running across the runway, kind of birds setting up nests in the grass and all this stuff. So it's an essential thing.
Yeah.
And what do we say? Who was here in completely unrelated news, I should say, Ryan?
Yeah.
The airport nearly burnt down the other day.
Virtually on our doorstep. That was pretty scary, to say the least.
Pretty wild.
Yeah. One of the biggest fires I've certainly seen in a long time. And you wouldn't think that an airport, an international airport like South Africa's major airport, you would see something like that. Had to shut down a runway.
Yeah.
And then eventually it got hold of some derelict aircraft and saw to it that if there was ever any plans to fly those airplanes, then that's not going to happen.
Yeah. What was that? November, Mark?
I think it was November.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. The one that was painted in the...
Did Miles own that one as well? I'm sure he must have bought that one.
I don't know.
Yeah. But so what we're saying there's this whole grass cutting tender that obviously didn't happen because these guys didn't have the resources to go and cut the grass. And then on Monday, the biggest bloody fire at an airport you've ever seen. I mean, the visibility was down to zero. If you walked outside, you couldn't breathe. It was a massive fire.
Yeah.
nearly burnt those I think Turkish 340s they've got here at Denel. The fire trucks were moving them out the way. Yeah, the old CRJ got hammered. 737 got burnt, and I mean the grass caught on fire.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it caught on fire. There's a lot of theories going, but the grass was too long. It caught on fire, and it was chaos, absolute chaos. Yeah.
Crazy. Shouldn't be happening.
Can't make the shit up, eh? It was
What's that saying? Only in Africa.
Only in Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, still a lot of local news. Let's get something to a little bit more positive. Well, not actually positive. Let's go. Something I saw on the weekend. Duncan posted it. 43 Air School didn't have the best week.
No. Not by a long shot. I mean, well, the whole of last week was pretty whack with airplanes succumbing to the forces of gravity.
Yeah.
And yeah, these two poor students in two separate airplanes in two separate incidents.
So one ended up on the beach in the Bluff, I believe.
Yeah. Full slob.
The other one, you've been to that pub in Virginia Airport, obviously. The old Wings Club upstairs. And on a Sunday, this must have been, it's always packed and there's good music and lots of drinking going on. And this poor 43 pilot and his Kojo came taxiing in the Cherokee 140 there, did a little bit of a parking maneuver, but too much of a tight turn and ended up hitting the fence by the swimming pool there, all caught on camera by someone at the bar.
Yeah.
So a real walk of shame. I think those guys had to walk when they had to get out that aircraft, because just watching it was like watching this disaster in slow motion.
It's pretty blind.
It was. Yeah.
I mean,
it must have been pretty embarrassing.
I wonder if that was because they were distracted by the fact that one of their mates had just lobbed one in on the beach, you know?
Possibly.
Probably distracted by that. Or was it like one of those like, hold my beer, watch me taxi in and watch this move kind of thing. You never know.
Yeah.
Shame, but
you make a good point though.
I think the first thing that went through my mind was, hey, look, my pals just dropped one in on the beach. So are they okay? You don't know. So
yeah. But they had just refueled. So they must have got hold of the guys or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like a bit of a reckless taxi maneuver there.
Yeah, could have been.
Yeah.
A little bit misjudged, but
a little bit misjudged, yeah. But we'll leave it there. The guys are learning. No harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Mango is one step closer to being bought. They've provided this mystery bidder has provided proof of funding.
Yeah, I still couldn't believe it when I read that.
What are they buying?
Exactly. What are they buying? And who's behind all of it? I mean, it's the same as there was an article that came out earlier today that there's still no bidders for SA Express.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder why.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. What have you heard?
No, nothing other than the actual news that Sipho Sono, the business rescue practitioner. So he's been quite active, I must say, and certainly did a better job than the SACS BRPs. But they've found someone apparently, and it's also a consortium. So whether or not it's apparently not the same consortium that is buying Spuries.
Okay.
But it is a consortium, and they want to buy this company and get it running again. One of the things that they had to prove was, are there adequate skills to operate the airline, to secure the aircraft, and future expansion plans, which apparently they have proved.
Okay.
So there's no one left there, I believe, bar maybe a few people that were kept on to make sure certain processes are done during the business rescue process. But if this doesn't work, it doesn't happen, then the wind down process will have to begin.
Okay, interesting. So another dream startup or revival. Yeah, good luck in acquiring the people with the necessary skills. And I'm talking about
at the moment. Can you imagine trying to acquire the skills? I mean, most, from what we can see here locally, I mean, most of the Comair guys seem to have moved across to the likes of Safair, and I'm sure a lot of them overseas flying for Fly Dubai and whatnot.
Exactly.
And that's the route they're likely to want, because there's a bit of security there.
Yeah.
And I don't see those guys rushing back to a Mango setup to be part of another startup. It just doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
One of many that are currently underway.
Oh man, how many? We're spoiled for choice.
Yeah,
you can fly. It seems like there's Mango starting up. There's a couple of others starting up as well. A new industry leader as well. He seems to.
Yeah, it's interesting. Look, and there's a desire to revive these airlines and start these new ones in the middle of some heavy competition about to enter the market, because we know now that Emirates is teaming up with SA. The Minister of Tourism announced the other day that they're welcoming Emirates into the country to come and take up some of the slack in our domestic market.
And can we call this for what it is? Emirates is not going to be flying to Kimberley and Bloemfontein and Hoedspruit and these places. So you can relax on social media, please. Because it's the code share agreements. It's the SEMEs and the Airlinks, the SAAs that are going to be doing those flights in the code share agreement and the interline agreements with Emirates. It's not going to be Emirates taking a 777 to Bloemfontein, but if you knew anything about the industry, you would know that can't be done.
Yeah,
and this is why you need aviation experts running aviation companies.
Exactly. Yeah, if anything, it stands to only benefit the existing airlines, gives the current operators more opportunity to grow and expand.
Yeah,
which is good. But yeah, like you said, before you go and spill your beans over social media, ranting and raving about stuff like that, get your facts straight.
It was actually a bit embarrassing there, because I like when Rob Russell jumps in there with a.
He obviously didn't listen to my advisory on the podcast.
He definitely did not. And if you don't know what that is, what was it, Ryan?
Don't be a doos.
Don't be a doos. Yeah. Well, that's your permanent motto, actually. SAA, quite a lot of news. There's a lot surrounding them at the moment. This Takatso deal, it looks like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
They've now said they need this thing to happen, because there was an article out a couple of days ago about doing long haul again and using Cape Town as a long haul base.
Yeah.
Sao Paulo, the States, I believe. And of course, Joburg will be there, but there's sort of mutterings now about going long haul again. And if they're going to do that, they are going to need the likes of the global expertise and the consortium for its money to do it, because man, are they entering a different market from the one that they exited a few years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very different market.
Yeah. Coupled to that, rumors that obviously British Airways mainline are still yearning to hold on to their, what do we call it, their agreement that they had with Comair.
Yeah.
So they're looking for someone to partner up with here. And I saw there's rumors that SAA are, throwing the bait in.
Have they thought that through?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. Do they know they're going to have to paint those aircraft in BA colors? I mean, I couldn't believe it when SAA popped up to say that they're interested in this franchise agreement.
They haven't thought it through
properly.
properly.
They have not, because I do not believe that.
Jordan Butler made an interesting comment on social media as well. He said, how's that going to affect their Star Alliance agreement? Because British Airways is One World. SAA is Star Alliance. How do you just chuck that away? So when I read that, I thought, yeah, it's quite true. So
it has not been thought through.
Yeah, no, that's just
definitely not fully. Anyway, just to go over those routes. So New York, Sao Paulo, and at least one Australian city on the wish list for Cape Town. And then Joburg, Perth, Joburg, Washington via Accra on the list. That's what they'd like to do. A popular route in the past, and that's part of the restart plan.
Yeah. All those routes are being serviced already. So, interesting. And I wonder what aircraft, have they got some
340- Dinosaur, I think. And if they are flying that aircraft, guess where they're not going? To Tel Aviv.
Yeah,
you see that? No
close,
4-engine aircraft. Forget about it.
That's crazy.
But look, SAA will need that Takata consortium to pump the money in before they can even think of going long haul again.
Yeah.
They will be eaten alive.
Dream big, boys.
Yeah, a lot of dreaming big going on these days. But yeah, anyway, the one comment there, they said this was from one of the guys representing SAA. He added that South African Airways domestic market share was currently small but growing. He sees brand SAA as an important strategic asset and insisted we are still the national carrier. Do you agree?
Negative.
Negative, Ghost Rider.
I think you lost that.
I think
that
Airlink
level,
and
or-
Safair are so far ahead in terms of their branding and the product that they can produce that
they don't stand a chance.
they don't stand a chance.
Look, I do agree to a certain point that our domestic market could use a little bit more capacity. I mean, we're seeing it this weekend. People are, if you're trying to get to Cape Town this weekend, good luck.
Yeah, no,
it's the Rugby
impossible.
Sevens World Cup down there,
Yep.
and I see people like,
Yep.
you know, offering rides on private jets that are going down as seat rates. 12 grand buys you a seat on a Learjet.
I saw that, John.
Which is like, you know, if you're really keen on rugby, you've got the money to spend, people will pay that. But yeah, there is the need for capacity.
It's these last minute tickets that are very expensive, though.
Hellishly expensive.
I looked the other day. So 30th of September, OR to Cape Town, and then return on the 3rd of October, just out of interest. Fly Safair, 2,900 give or take there, 2,900 give or take back. That's with a bag. So that sort of middle range fare that they offer. Airlink was 3,600 there and 2,600 back. Lyft 3,300 and 2,500. And Semair 3,300 and 2,500.
Not cheap.
Not that cheap, but it's not that hectic. Some of the international flights, looking at getting a ticket to France for October, you and I are ducking across there for a few days, and a premium economy there was about 60 grand. So we're not going premium economy.
Isn't that like what a first class ticket used to cost?
I don't know. Well, a business class was about 50, I think. Al Macaulay could tell me because he used to go business. I'm sure it was about 50.
Hey, that's a lot of beer tokens, man.
It's a lot of beer tokens for premium economy.
Yeah,
because it's better than economy, but it's not.
It's not like life changing. I mean,
like I'd rather sit in economy and save those beer tokens for that price.
Exactly.
But there is sort of a light on the horizon here. So ticket prices, they're up 7% at the moment, but they look like they will come down internationally. Obviously, going into the winter season in Europe, so no doubt they will come down.
Yeah.
And even domestically, they look like they're coming down. Fuel price drop, isn't it this week?
Yeah, it went down by 2 rand or so a litre, so a little bit of reprieve, but let's see what happens. Hopefully it filters through.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Otherwise, domestically, a real African-specific situation, this one. A TAP, Air Portugal, Airbus 320.
Collided with a motorbike on their own.
Jeez. So in Conakry. Only in Africa,
Hey,
I think it was like the airport security guy or something. I mean, how much situational awareness do you have to have? You work at the airport, so you see these aircraft landing, and you throw your mate on the back of a motorcycle and gap it across the runway just as a 320 is, about to smack you on its right engine.
I think I know what happened.
Tell us.
He just watched Top Gun. Put his mates on the back of the backy and said, watch this move. It's beautiful sunset.
Yeah.
I'm going to ride. I'm going to chase this jet.
Just going to go for it.
Yeah. Jet 1, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. They both died.
Well.
And the world is probably... anyway.
Short a few Darwins, but anyway.
That was a real Darwin award, that one. Ethiopian is flying an extra flight to Joburg, Ryan.
Yeah.
Again, talk about capacity, all this stuff being taken up by other airlines. That's why it makes it so much harder for SAA to claw its way back. But
exactly.
Yeah. So they will be coming back. Lufthansa strike, carrying on from our story from last week, they did find an agreement.
They have, eh?
They have.
Okay.
Yep.
So what did that mean? They're going to put the strike on ice for a bit?
Yeah, this was yesterday. So 48 hours, the pilots for the Lufthansa mainline were going to go on strike. The cargo pilots were going on strike for 72 hours, being called off. They have met some sort of agreement. And according to Lufthansa, it first offered pilots a 2-stage basic pay rise of 900 euros. That's about 4 million rand. This corresponds to an 18% basic pay rise for an entry-level co-pilot, while captains close to retirement would notice a 5% increase. So it's a partial solution, but it's good that there's no more disruption in that part of the world. A lot of people traveling to Europe are trying to avoid these European airlines because they're worried about, getting their baggage and delays and canceled flights. I mean, everyone is, unless you're flying direct, everyone is really trying to go, via the east.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's been a real ringer of a summer season for Europe.
Been hectic.
So,
It's been hectic.
See if it calms down. Eh?
Yeah. And I think in carrying on with the conversation from last week, we spoke about, the pay, and particularly here locally in South Africa. You've obviously had a week to ponder what you spoke about. So we didn't discuss this beforehand, but have you given it any more thought here locally as to what you think? Do you think the guys are earning the right amount here? Do you think they're still on the low side? We discussed it last week, and we kind of chose a different flying at SACS. For me, I flew there because of the lifestyle. Didn't fly that hard, got decent pay, certain weekends off, was a good lifestyle.
Yeah.
The lifestyle side on all the airlines here has just gone out the window. The guys are flying their asses off.
They're cooking. And I definitely do agree that I think they are on the low side of the salary scale. And that's why it's going to be so much harder for the airlines to retain the guys. Been saying it for a while, so.
Never mind a new airline starting up.
Exactly. So, yeah, look, going back to what you said about SACS, we had a good ride there, man. It really was. That was why we were there for so long. But, well, we all know that that'll never exist again, ever. Flying as much as we did for the bucks we earned. But, yeah, I don't know. Right now, that's irrelevant because that's in the past. Looking at today's terms, we obviously know the guys are going to work harder. Airlines have to survive, make money. There's no getting around it. But how long can they possibly keep the guys working as hard as they are and still earning shit salaries?
You know why I ask? Because I'm sure a few people contacted you after last week's show. And it's quite interesting, the different parts of the world where people contact you from. And some of them have to say, I like what you said there. This is what's happening here. And it varies quite a bit from continent to continent. But nonetheless, the feelings shared amongst the guys flying for these airlines scattered across the world are, man, are they flying hard. And they're not so sure how long they can sustain it for. That's the real challenge. They're saying, like, it's one thing to fly 100 hours a month for 1, 2, 3 months, but year after year, it's very, very difficult. So a lot of people, obviously not going to mention names and that, but they just say it's just very, very difficult at the moment to see themselves still flying this way in 5, 10, 15 years' time. And a lot of them are actually trying to make alternate plans.
What you're saying as well, then, if I'm reading between the lines correctly, is even better money isn't going to make up for that. Can't. It's unsustainable. I mean, physically, you can't keep up with it. I get it, yeah.
I mean, look at this Lufthansa thing we just mentioned now. Okay, yeah, it's a significant increase there. But how long are they just getting back to where they should have been? No doubt everything was put on ice for the COVID years. So they're probably just getting back to where they should be. How much money do you actually have to throw at pilots for them to want to do that job long term?
Or physically be able to.
Exactly.
Because we're seeing it already now. There are pilots with concern for a certain Middle Eastern carrier that are reporting that they are too scared to admit how exhausted they are when they're flying. And I suppose what the airlines are trying to do as well, they're trying to sugarcoat the agreements with the pilots by offering like better housing allowance and all this kind of stuff, which doesn't necessarily always translate to more bucks in your account at the end of the month.
Yeah, it's like a cheap way for the airline to give you a bit more money.
Yeah.
But let's talk about it. I mean, that story now came out about Qatar. So pilots at Qatar sound the alarm for safety, revealing issues with fatigue and a culture of fear amongst the pilot crews, according to a report by a Dutch newspaper, NOS. So these guys infiltrated a private, I suppose it's like a European or Eastern version of Fly Africa, sort of Fly Doha or whatever it's called. And there were quite a few Qatar pilots moaning on the website. And this journalist managed to talk to a few of these guys. And the pilots interviewed, of course, they won't disclose their identities because that would be game over there. But they revealed on a number of occasions they've fallen asleep during the flight due to extreme rosters. They added that the Doha-based carrier is regularly pushing boundaries when making the rosters. It's not a deep sleep the guys fall into. It's like a 10-second sleep. Had it myself.
Yeah.
It's like a 10, and then you almost feel like you're drunk because you sort of wake up and don't quite know what's going on. They're reluctant to submit fatigue reports out of fear of warning letters, and that can stop them from getting a promotion, of course. Aerotime, the magazine that I found this in, they asked Qatar for comment. There was no response from Qatar in the comment, unsurprisingly. But it's all over the place, Ryan.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't think it's the most pleasant environment. And we generalizing here on very few. I think, I mean, like take L as a classic example. He seems happy as Larry in Canada.
Exactly.
Enjoying himself. And I know a couple of our mates in Oz, got no complaints as well. So it's not everyone. And you see even, I mean, Andrew Evans, he's not in the easiest situation there at Cathay, but he's always happy and, shooting photos and enjoying himself. So it's not everyone, but certainly a lot of people not in the best frame of mind. And, that's what we've picked up in the last sort of, particularly after last week's episode. I mean, I can show you how many messages came through from the pilots. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, yeah, look, it's difficult because you got to make the best out of every situation that you're in. And I suppose it's not always easy to feel that positive and all that vibey and optimistic when you are that tired.
Yeah. Especially
when it's taking a toll on your body and your lifestyle and your family time. That's difficult, man. But it's
lifestyle is a big thing.
Yeah, man. The balance between a happy work environment and a good home, it's one of the trickiest things to manage, I think.
Yeah, no doubt.
Particularly for pilots.
Definitely.
And it's not easy.
Not easy. Recently, the Wizz Air CEO, so he faced criticism from a few pilot unions. So this guy comes out and says too many pilots are reporting cases and they should keep working even if they are fatigued. That's from the CEO of Wizz Air.
Pushing the boundaries on the safety issues there. I mean,
that's not the... I don't want to hear that, eh?
No, that doesn't necessarily inspire a good company culture.
It does not.
Hey? I mean, that's... Again, someone should send him a message and tell him to listen to our advisory from last week. Please.
It's a funny one. It's not like you working any less hard than anyone else at the moment who's flying. But don't you feel that when you're flying, certainly for an airline, it might not be the long hours and the time in the seat. Is it not the lack of control you have over your own life and your own time? In other words, you've got tasks to do here and you get them done. Whether you get them done tonight at midnight or early tomorrow morning, that's totally up to you. But when you're in an airline and you're rostered and you're told you're going to be there at 6 in the morning and you're going to operate till that time, and often we know it goes beyond that time, you're not in control. So is it the working hard and long, or is it the lack of a...
I don't think it's the hard work. I mean, South Africans in general as well aren't scared of hard work. But yeah, it's the planning, man. You know, you go and design plans, like you say, you got things to do. Especially like if your wife gets hold of your roster, she starts doing the planning for you. And then when you have to go and tell her, listen, plans have changed, you know, that look of death you get. And you got to manage that and keep work happy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what gets to a lot of guys is, you know, particularly on a weekend, you've planned something to, you know, get together with some mates or some family members, everything, and then that gets changed last minute. That's what gets to the guys.
Or even worse, if your mate's getting married or something, and you know 2 months in advance, so you make a plan for that day, and then it gets turned on its head, then you kind of lose faith in the whole system.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of the guys battle.
Look, I suppose when you enter this career, you gotta you know
100%
what you're getting into. But I suppose for a long time up until now, the guys had it pretty good, where your rosters used to be stable, things used to work quite well, and that's just not the case nowadays.
But did the whole COVID situation have anything to do with that? Because now you're sitting at home for 1.5, 2 years, and you were in control of your time. So you kind of got used to your life as a pilot. Then you had this sort of 2-year gap. And I wonder, is that not playing a role with the guys now that they had to go back to that older lifestyle again, and maybe they're not fitting in as easily and as quickly as they thought?
I think that's got a lot to do with it.
And there's morons like us every week that say that's actually a cuck lifestyle.
It is, yeah. But stay positive.
Stay positive. Yeah, nonetheless. If you're not traveling to Australia this week, are you?
I don't think I'm allowed in Australia anymore.
Do your boots on the ground thing.
Yeah,
so they ground handlers, they are planning a 24-hour strike on September the 12th. So that affects Qantas and at least 19 other airlines.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you are planning to go to Oz over those few days, take your luggage in a backpack and carry it on the plane with you, because
or either that or make it extra heavy, because there's probably going to be some CEO that's going to be loading and offloading it.
Yeah. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Have the Springboks left Oz yet? Or they're still playing another game?
No, they're not playing another one there.
Is it? Yeah.
I think the Aussies play New Zealand this week.
All right, yeah. Because it's just I'd shudder to see what would happen if someone lost Eben Etzebeth's bag. I mean, he's gonna.
Yeah, he lost it, eh?
I thought he was gonna rip that oak's head off.
Yeah.
But the cool thing was,
how cool was that?
After the game, they're in the change room, clapping a few beers, being mates again. That's
cool. Rugby. Yeah, that's quite actually a very nice thing to see, like a sportsman-like thing. Look, at the time, it was pretty wild. I don't know. He got fired up there.
Yeah,
those eyes pop out, and
I almost imagine that's what like most pilots want to do to roster clocks at the moment.
That's exactly what it was. I was surprised no one made one of those meme things yet with their roster clock like that. But how's that game, man?
Yeah, nuts. It was pretty intense. It was good watching, and it's so lacquer to have that back on the weekends again too.
Yeah,
keep us going.
So one thing we haven't spoken about for a while, and I noticed you've been very, very quiet about this. How's the Formula One going?
Well, this weekend,
your Ferrari strategists
are
without doubt,
No, they're on the wrong end of the Rubik's Cube. Those guys, they're screwing the pooch. But so needless to say, I'm back on the Max wagon.
You're back on the anyone beating Lewis wagon, because Lewis is now back in the hunt, not for the championship, but I'm sure he's gonna win a race.
Lewis is looking for parking, man. I don't know if you saw what happened to him this weekend, but I mean, in the last 10 laps, he got he
wasn't chuffed.
And when he saw old George Russell come sailing past him, I could see the fumes coming out of his helmet.
Have you watched? I'll actually put in the show notes later on. There's a guy on YouTube. He's excellent. He he sort of mimics the football bosses like Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola, but he does the same thing with the Formula One drivers and the team bosses. He's excellent.
I always check it out.
Oh, it's really good. You must check it out. Yeah, with the Formula One being good, Max is just so dominant at the moment.
Yeah,
So I noticed you've been very hush-hush on the whole Ferrari situation.
Just hiding in my cage.
I don't think we've seen Keegan once this year.
Yeah, well,
but no doubt he's going to come out the woodwork now that those Mercedes are going a bit quicker.
Yeah. Well, Keegan's got a lot on his plate. He's getting married in a couple of weeks' time. So
is he?
Yeah.
Okay. So
he's got an excuse.
Well, yeah. Let him off the hook on that one. Just let's get back to aviation quickly. Yeah. Stolen King Air.
Yeah. How's that dude, eh?
So he just zicked that King Air and
he got
he would get away with it.
Yeah. But I read somewhere that he was threatening to fly it into a Walmart. Like, I don't know, what was that all about? There wasn't any extra news coming out about that. I don't know if he had like an ex-girlfriend in there that he was, like,
don't know what was
pissed
going
off
on there.
with or whatever. But yeah, luckily he put it down and they managed to arrest him and,
in a crop or field or something by the looks of it there.
Yeah. So they put him in jail and taken away his flight sim. And
that's that. And a Cessna Citation 2.
Yeah.
That was a sad. So that was supposed to go from Spain to Cologne, change route while airborne. They mentioned something about cabin pressure problems. So I haven't seen the full report, but no doubt that was hypoxia or something like that.
Yeah, something very similar to that. Was it Olympic Airways 737?
That's a haunting one to watch. That was on Air Crash Investigation the other night. I watched that again.
Yeah.
That's a horrendous one.
It's frightening, man, because this was similar. Apparently, they dispatched the Luftwaffe in the fighter jets, and the guys, when a beam, couldn't see much happening, and the airplane just continued until ran out of gas.
Yeah, then some moron says, but they must have been conscious because the aircraft spiraled into the ground, like intentionally, but obviously one engine flamed out first, and then the next one causing it to spiral into the ground. Again, if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, then keep it down, please.
Exactly.
All right, Ryan. Advisory. Do you want one?
Of course, man. It's what we hear for every week, pal.
All right. So reading is a bit of like a vanity metric type of thing. Like you've got a book and you read it to completion because you want to know that you've read it to completion, and B, you can say, no, I've read that book.
And it's a bit of an OCD thing.
It's a bit of an OCD thing.
Start a book and not finish it.
Yeah, but you can. So Naval, I follow him quite a lot.
Yeah.
So he reckons you don't have to finish a book. If you most people buy a book to get a certain something out of it. So like I read, what was that, 80-20 principle the other day.
Yeah.
So like at 2 chapters in, you've pretty much got the gist of this 80-20 principle that you can actually start implementing into your own life.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still 3/4 of this book to go. Do you carry on reading the 3/4, or do you now take action on the gist of the book that you've just gotten and then start another book about something else? You hear what I'm saying?
I'm with you. Yeah.
All right. So he reckons if you've got a Kindle or your iPad or whatever, you can have 20, 30 books in there, and you don't have to read one at a time and then finish it and then go to the next one. Read something that you want, get the gist out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're still learning and you're still interested, then carry on and carry on reading. But once you've got the gist of it and you know that, hey, I've picked something up and I can now use this, it's better to actually go out and then use what you've learned in that book for your own benefit rather than just read the book, forget about the thing you learned, and now you can prove that you finished the book. That's the one thing. So you don't have to finish a book. A book is not there to be read from the front page to the last. It's there to get the core principles out and then to actually use them. That's the first one. I read rather slow.
Yeah, so
traditionally I read like it takes me a long time to read. You do these tests online. You can go and you got to read something and it times you and it tells you where you are in the graph, like how how quickly you are compared to other people.
Yeah.
So over the last sort of month, I've been doing this speed reading, Tim Ferriss speed reading course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like a bit of a practice thing. So Tim Ferriss obviously got one of the world's biggest podcasts, and he's got an awesome blog. And one of the things in there is about how to speed read. And it teaches you how to do it, where your eyes are supposed to be. And basically you start with having a book on a flat table like this, and you scan the page. And it sounds like bullshit.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how can you actually just scan a page? And by scan, I mean you basically start with your eyes and you bring it down all the way to the bottom, flip the page over, do the same thing. And you basically like how a scanner works scanning a document, the same type of thing.
I've seen those things on social media a couple of times, like those things where they jumble a sentence up, but you can still pick up the gist of the paragraph.
Exactly. Well, this is the same thing. So the sentence is jumbled up and you actually put that sentence together yourself. Now, this works a little bit like that, but he actually explains this in much more detail than I'm doing now. So the link in the show notes, you can go check that out. It's on his blog, and it's quite a cool thing to do. If you got a book at home, start with that one, put it down on a flat table. And if you are interested in you know, where I had a IATA document the other day.
Okay.
And I was practicing with that because it was like a A4 size piece. It was easy to do.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you now, I was doing that scanning thing and I was picking stuff up in there.
Are you actually absorbing the information? It's not just like...
No, you're absorbing the information, but in a different way to how it is when you're reading it yourself.
Okay.
So if you're sitting there reading, you're reading and you're thinking at the same time. This way, you actually just scan this document, goes into your computer brain, and then you pick up key things in that document. Very cool. Won't give you too much more, Jen, but I'll give you the link afterwards. Go check it out. It's actually well worth it. And it can save you a lot of time and a lot of energy. Don't try and do it with your iPad or your Kindle. Get a proper book and start with that first. And start that speed reading course. It's pretty cool.
That's pretty legit. I'll definitely try it because, I mean, I'm an exceptionally slow reader, and I find reading too often you get tired very quickly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it difficult to absorb stuff. So cool, man.
That's well worth it. Yeah. Check it out. What's your plan for the weekend, pal?
Doing a bit of work and just spending some time with the family and chilling.
What did you think of the live today?
Loved it.
So we didn't give people a lot of time. About half an hour ago I put it on, but of course, Caroline been meaning to come and see us for a while, but been a bit busy here. And Scott, you was here the other day as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Martin says, especially in those orange pilot uniforms. Not going to be attracting too many guys in those orange pilot uniforms. Scott, cheaper to fly Cherokee or a Sling there and back by yourself. Yeah.
I can believe it.
Actually, you're right. SAA no longer the national carrier. And then they want to get into bed with BA. No proper business strategy or brand going forward. Not a good strategy for success. 100%.
Yep.
No doubt about that. And I put this up earlier. You might have seen it. L's current employer doing a lot to try and address not only the pay element, but also trying to balance the softer lifestyle issues to try and keep the long-termers. That's what you spoke about, man.
Exactly. That's awesome.
You got to do something about it.
Yeah. I'm glad it's working out for you there, Al. And so it's nice to hear some positive, like real life, happy, good stories coming out there.
And there is a lot
going well for some guys.
It is. Really, it is. And a lot of the guys, particularly some of the guys at Emirates, a lot of positive stuff coming out of there. This last week, I picked up a few guys that really enjoying being back, and not anything bad to say. So, there's positive stories all around the world at the moment, and obviously we harping on a couple of the little negative ones, but that's what we do, man.
Yeah, look, we've got to make fun of something.
Lucky the studio's here. That fire was about 200 meters away the other day, but we made it through.
Yeah. So no, very chuffed about that. But
And that tender, pity for them because there ain't no grass to cut anymore.
yeah, so what now? Eh?
What now? That's done. Paul, always a pleasure doing the show with you.
Yeah, it's been real, guys. Had great fun.
I
And,
did indeed.
Looking forward to next week.
Absolutely.
Thanks everyone who joined us for the live last minute, sort of spontaneous let's go live button.
Bit of a secret. We live because I'm in the simulator after this tonight and I don't feel like editing. So now I can press finish and the video is there on YouTube for you all to watch.
I knew you were operating with a plan.
Yeah, so have a lovely weekend there, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Take it easy.
Goodbye for now.
Ciao.
Bye.
Runway 26 left. Vector to the traffic pattern and do the